So we got about 7 minutes to the debate. Welcome in, everybody. Oh, you know what? We should turn on the light here. Let's turn on the light. Sometimes the Elgato Control Center dies. Anyways, we got. I think we're gonna have a much better debate tonight. I mean, I can only hope that we have a much better debate tonight because yesterday's debate was so boring, and I was actually just looking at what the ratings and everything were. There we go. I was just looking at the ratings, and it was almost half of what the first debate was. So, yeah, people weren't too interested in it. But, you know, with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in this, it should be a little bit better. And we also got Andrew Yang. That should be interesting to see if he's improved or not. I think that he's going to try to insert himself a lot more. So, we'll see. What else do I got here? We should, I should open up NinjaTrader and just see what the markets are doing. Because, that was a real bender this afternoon with the FOMC, and everybody is like so confused. I mean, I was confused. Like, why are you going down? Why? Well, they are selling it since then. I think that it sounds a little bit more hawkish than maybe the market expected. So I think that a continued move down would be appropriate. But we'll see. Let's grab this over here. There we go. There we go. All right, well, need to fix my camera there. We'll get this up. As before, I won't be playing the audio because that'll get the channel in trouble or likely to be taken out. So we're just going to do the audio, and you can pull up CNN on your own. If you're watching on replay, you're just going to have to go find this is the debate on the 31st. And yeah, I know that sucks, but you know what? Like, these debates suck. And, I think it's nice to have some people to watch with. So I appreciate it, everybody. I'm wondering here, maybe I can relax a little bit, I don't need to be so forward. That's too far. There we go. I think that's a little better. Let's check out, man. Oh yeah, we need to change our title. What did we call the other one? Live Democrat debate analysis. That's not what we called it, though, was it? Now I have to look. Democrat, second debate, live commentary. Okay. Cool. We'll do it like that. We'll see if, different title maybe makes a difference for people. I don't know. Did Donald Trump ever tweet? Did he ever tweet about the FOMC? Na, 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 na. What the market wanted to hear from Jay Powell and the Federal Reserve was that this was the beginning of a lengthy and aggressive rate-cutting cycle, which would keep pace with China, the European Union, and other countries around the world. As usual, Powell let us down, but at least he is ending quantitative tightening, which shouldn't have started in the first place. No inflation. We are winning anyways, but I am certainly not getting much help from the Federal Reserve. Let's put this over here in the corner. I think this could be a lot smaller too. Okay. So this is starting a little bit late, but round two. The candidates face off. Blah, blah, blah. Oh my. His momentum, huh? Need to see here. It gave me a better viewer last time. Well, whatever. I wish I could like resize it better, but it's not. It's not really. I think that to do it, I have to like that. So it's 3 minutes in already, and they haven't started yet. So it's gonna be like yesterday. They're gonna milk it for all it's got. This Monday Night Football style intro to the debates is bizarre beyond belief, says Matt Tabby. Yes. I kind of agree. It was random. We believe you. I don't really believe that. Ooh, look, he runs out there on stage. He's got the energy. Look at the energy. He's a spry youngin'. Oh, did he just salute the crowd? He saluted the crowd. Is he allowed to do that? I think you're allowed to do that. I don't know. Oh, he called her kid. He called her kid. Oh, they honked. Andrew Yang. Okay, so there are definitely the Yang supporters in the audience today. And he is not wearing a tie again. I really don't think that Andrew Yang has learned anything. I really don't. Oops. How much of a shot do these Dems got against Trump 2020? As I think it's an easy landslide win for Trump. Well, as things stand right now, I don't think they really stand a chance. But the thing you got to remember is that as soon as they pick somebody, it always changes, and it's very, very difficult, in my opinion, to make a really significant conclusion about things until they've picked a candidate. Really. All sorts of things can happen, you know. But, you know, something that I saw from the debate yesterday, I need to turn this down a little bit. So something that I noticed from the debates yesterday was that the Democrats really didn't like the debate. And my reading from that, CNN was very hard on them. They cut them off. They, they were holding them to the rules, and the Democrats didn't really perform very well under those circumstances, and the people on Twitter were just really upset about it. And I think that they believe that their candidates don't look very good. I think that debate last night hurt Democrats significantly. Like Marianne Williamson was like really the winner of that debate. In my opinion, and she is crazy. I mean, she is really crazy. And for the best performing candidate at the debate to be an absolute lunatic like Marianne Williamson, I think has to be very startling to Democrats. And so, you know, right now I don't think it's helping them, but we'll see. The second debate's probably going to be very different. let's turn on our shake. Aqua shake. Shake it, shake it. And there. Now I can do stuff without losing my video. Okay. Donald Trump did tweet that the ratings were low for the Democrat debate. I didn't notice that. Oh, he said, "Go easy on my kid" to Kamala Harris. That was weird. It was weird. I don't know if that is like you lose. Let's see what they're saying he's done. Did he touch anybody inappropriately? It was funny calling her kid. That's a little weird. Oh, John Grady totally responded back to me about the liquidity. Yeah, today there was low liquidity after the FOMC. $15K trading at one price happens, but that's excessively thick on average. Still, you're correct. Adaptation is always necessary when there's a change. That's interesting. Does your tweet deck lag or not update? Sometimes mine does not update and it messes with me. You know, if it does, I don't notice. I certainly have periods of time where it seems like it doesn't update very often. But if that sort of thing, if you think that sort of thing is going on, you can change things. So like, I have it to 50 likes right now. If I switch that so that it's only 5 likes, should be getting things like just constantly, you know? Clara Jeffrey. F Jeff a sucker for so many more important things, but also cutting to a commercial break before the debates even start. Yes. So they had, didn't they this isn't this the second debate or second commercial. This isn't even in the, he's not even in this debate and they're already giving John Delaney too much time. I'm going to respond back to him here. Nobody likes this guy. Mayor de Blasio. He's just so unlikable. He is going out and attacking everybody in his opening statement? Man. Go away, Mayor de Blasio. Nobody likes you. I don't know what the guy in the audience said, but I don't think it was positive. He says, "Go easy on me, kid," but you know that Joe Biden came to play, and they're gonna rumble. Who is this guy? He wasn't in the first debate, right? You know, there are too many people when even I don't know who they are. Okay, Kristen might. I think that Kristen has been, there's one of these people that any other year she could be doing good, but there's just too many people running. Oh, Donald Trump tweeting again. Experts stated that the Fed should not have tightened and then waited too long to undo their mistake. James Bullard of St. Louis Fed said they waited too long to correct the mistake that they made last December. Mistake. Powell cut rate and then he started talking. I really think that the market is being irrational here, but we'll see. They ended up down in the end, huh? Man, what a bender. What a bender of a day. $29.40 are the next empty point of controls. There's a little flip there in the markets. Maybe it's a little tepid, but this is a deeply American idea. Oh man. Oh man. Okay. And oh, my head hurts. What he's saying is so dumb. Oh, $40,000 here in Detroit alone. Where do you think that money comes from, moron? Oh, I can't handle it. He has no clue. How can somebody that rich be so clueless about how wealth is created? Wow. Well, they got some protesters going in there. He's gonna wait for them to take them out. GOP's thing on Andrew Yang. Since the last debate, Yang hasn't seen a rise in polls and is probably hoping to speak for more than 2 minutes in tonight's debate. Mr. Speculator Seth, are you allergic to your bunny? No. My nose is a little bit... I'm allergic to something, but it's not the bunny. I think it's just the pollen in the air. And I always... You notice I usually have to dab my eyes a little bit. I'm pretty sure it's not the bunny. I haven't eaten dinner yet, so I'm probably a little bit... You know... I don't know. Feel a little tired still. It's been a long day. You've been with me most of the day, Win, haven't you? It's a real trooper. What's wrong with the audio on her mic? Look at her face. It looks like she's about to cry. She's got them crocodile tears. Does your wife or the laundry person use fragrance in the wash? You know, I've wondered about that before, and I tried changing things and there was no difference. So I used Tide. So no, and you know, it's like if I go on vacation, doesn't change. I think it's just something in the air. Oh. Oh. Why would you start out like that? Huh. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. My husband is traveling and being lazy and playing online. Now I have a new interest and I am undecided as to what he will think about this when trading. I'm not a gambler, but I love patterns and predictions. So I'll tell you what, Win. I think that there are certain things about trading that women have an advantage over men in. Just in general, their approach to risk is much more, what is the word, conducive to scalping. And I've seen not very many women come in and do this, but I've seen a couple of women. We used to have a girl in our Discord from Nevada, older lady, and she did amazing, absolutely amazing. She was probably one of the best traders that I ever saw come into our room. And it's because they're just so good at not, you know, guys want to take the risks, you know, and women are so much more calculated about it. We got food. Thank you, dear. But you know, don't I have that like getting started in futures thing? Just remember, you don't have to put a ton of money out on it, you know, like you can trade sim for a long time and make sure that you're consistent at it and this and that, because man, you can lose so much money trading futures. All right, what's she saying here? She's already putting me to sleep. Live Cavaliers takes the first question of the debate. Go away, CNN. Biden calls your Medicare for All plan confusing and I have it every which way approach. How do you respond? So she didn't really respond it directly, but... I love it. He went at her face. You ever play Hearthstone? You ever play Hearthstone and you get all the cards and then when you kill all of their guys and you can hit them in the face? He's just... And sometimes, you know, if they don't have a taunt, then you can just skip those guys and go straight for the face. And that's what he just did. He went right for the face. Clear neti pot to clear your sinuses. If you use it regularly for like 2 weeks straight, it can make a difference. We'll see. I think that my sinus itself is because I have a deviated septum. I really need to go get that fixed, but I'm too lazy. Maybe these holidays or something. Wow, so she is criticizing him. She's fighting back. Shoot the moon. Someone just wrote that Twitter exploded with 100 red roses. Man. Those kind of sound like Republican talking points, but oh, okay. Her first point there was not something that I would use, but like to come in and say, well, the current plan is terrible and anything is better than this. I don't think that's an argument that's going to win over people that are skeptical about Medicare. Thank you, Senator Harris. I don't think that Harris fought back about that super great. Yeah, Biden shook Harris's hand and said, go easy on my kid. Yeah, I caught that. I didn't hear that he said go easy, but I heard that he called it to her. I heard over the mic when he called her kid, and I was like, did he really just call her kid? He had come out, he was ready to rumble. I do not think that Kamala Harris was quite ready for how aggressive he was going to actually be. So he's going to turn back to Obama as his defense. That kind of aggression will not ring true. Joe can wear a black jacket and look cool, but he is a sweetheart. I don't know. The thing is there it's the whole thing, the whole role of aggression in debates is a very interesting thing because people like it when you're aggressive. And the aggressive person often wins. But you can certainly overdo it too. But Joe Biden has clearly been practicing. He was ready for this debate. It very much shows he was quite sharp. Whether or not it really affects people, we'll see. But I suspect that it might. But he is also leaving himself open. Like somebody could come up with a counterpunch that could just floor him, you know? Sorry, I still got some food here to eat, so I'm going to be pausing a lot. So I'm seeing reports on Twitter that Twitch just took down every partner channel that was covering the debate. That's interesting. But it would have to be if they were actually showing the audio, probably. Because otherwise, how would they know? If you study personality typing, then you can predict what a person will do. For instance, Trump is an ESTP. Cory Booker's gonna try and play that. Oh, you shouldn't be attacking people. Mm-mm. That one usually doesn't do much for you though. Doesn't no harm in trying it though. Wynn says there are types that are memed as throwing the baby out with the bathwater type. You mean the ESTP types? That might be true. I don't know. I would like to see a more firm of a framework about how to predict their type of behavior based on their personality type. So if we look at the candidates, we would see each type and how they would push policy based on the type of action a walking meme personality type is associated with. Poker players are supposed to be really good at reading people? Well, that's a really important part about poker. I really would think that I would enjoy poker, but I don't think that I need another stressful thing in my life. You know what I mean? I'm trying to find more relaxing things to put in my life. Like I've been looking around at yoga studios in the area. Okay, let's see what Tulsi says. Craps is a game if you want to understand patterns. I hear that Craps is the game that you have the best odds at in Vegas, other than, playing against other players. Because there's like a certain, based on what happens, you do a certain thing and those are your best probabilities. But when I read like an explanation of it, it's like, whoosh, I didn't understand it. Well, a socialist program will cover everyone. Our Amazon warrior garden veteran enters the room. Her hair is a bit Cruella de Vil, but if I can get a pattern of craps, you can. It's as simple as rolling dice on a sidewalk. Well, it is dice rolling, right? Lucas, you got crushed at FOMC. What happened? Where did you take did you take trades while he was talking? I took a few trades while he was talking, and I regretted it. And then I took a trade right there at the close. I didn't realize it was the close, and I got slaughtered by that one. And that was the one that ruined me. Well, I mean, I still did good, but ugh, it's so bad. Bonds are stock have to roll over, and right now bonds are falling now. I think, let's see here. I went long 2 times at one of the last runs towards the low. The run in the 19 year, that was crazy mad. Well, let's see here. My husband can count cards, and he says the idea is to watch the behavior of players before they begin to play tells our interesting people scratch their neck. Well, yes, I've heard that before. That you can see, they give you tells before they play that you can watch for as they're playing to see their state. The tenure. I gotcha. So you tried catching the low, basically. That whole thing was really mad. Yeah. I gotta tell you, when he's talking, that action can be really random, and your order flow reads might not necessarily be good. So if you're taking one, you really got to be certain that there's like some real change. Like you can see that there's trap traders and they're already overextended, and then he said something that really changes things and they're buying it all of a sudden, you know. But generally speaking, I find that it's best to just not try and trade during the press conference. But to what Trade TA Demo was saying, it seems to me like the market was a little bit surprised by him saying that this was a mid-cycle adjustment. I didn't find that didn't stick out to me. That didn't stick out to me for whatever reason, but the markets seem to care. And so if that's the case, that surprised the markets, then that means that the Fed is being more hawkish than expected and the Treasury should come down from here. And they are selling it. I mean, they're not below the low of today, but they are selling it right now. And given it's the European session too, and they've been tending to buy it. We'll see. Wynn says, I think this rate cut was a political concession. Maybe. I mean, personally, I think that the data supports making a cut. I felt that the data supported not raising in December, but well, maybe not the data, but the market behavior certainly justified not raising in December. But I don't know. I also felt like that a lot of this action, and especially the action that caused the E-mini to sell, seems irrational to me. I would not be surprised if by the end of the week we're right back up at highs in the E-mini. Wouldn't be surprised at all. But it's kind of like, you know, they were already selling it today. For all we know, that was just momentum and people wanted to click, so there was a trend, you know what I mean? Could be. It's going to be interesting trading the rest of the week, that's for sure. I hope you didn't lose too much during that. Problem with a day like that is you can like lose a whole week's worth of profits if you're not careful. And it sucks because you when you can lose that much, you can make that much too, you know. And I think it's worth playing, but you just got to be really careful. You got to be really selective. The president believes we need quantitative easing, not tightening. What do you think? August is traditionally a slower easing month, isn't it? I mean, I don't know if he said that we need easing. What did he say here earlier today? He did say something about it. Well, he said the quantitative tightening shouldn't have started in the first place, but we'll see. Okay, what's Andrew Yang say? Well, I think that Andrew Yang finally had a winning moment there. That was really well done. What's the ZB at? They're at 155.07 right now. I'll show you. Show you my profile charts, right? So there's ZB. So we're at today's point of control, last session's point of control. The tweet slam Powell, but acknowledged his pleasure at having an adjustment. POTUS would like more cuts based on what I read. Yeah. Oh, I read every tweet. Almost usually right as he posts it. I just, sometimes forget exactly what he said. But he definitely would like more cuts. But I don't know, man. I don't know if multiple cuts is really justified by the data right now, especially since everything in July was, surprise to the upside. But we'll see. I mean, Donald Trump does seem to understand interest rates, but his understanding doesn't seem very nuanced to me. He just knows that low interest rates tends to be good for the economy, and he just wants them to stay low. Mayor de Blasio is totally missing the point here. Bennett is 100% right. You can't lie to the American public about it. Everybody knows that it's going to cost a lot on your taxes. They give Biden it back. Man, he is doing a good job here. I really didn't think that the Obama defense would really work, but it seems to be aiding him here in this debate on healthcare. Wow. Oh my gosh. He just ripped the whole party and stayed to the left while doing it. That was just brilliant. He is not a popular city mayor. I know, right? Everybody hates him. I think that he's just not a likable person. Have you been to Manhattan? It is quite a city. One of my favorite places to visit. Theater, museums, and Upper East Side. Oh, yes. I love New York. She is irate now. The insurance companies, they're so evil and we need to punish them. Homespun humor and naughty language malarkey. Yeah, I thought malarkey was great. I thought that was brilliant. Anyways, yeah, so one of the things that got me into trading, well, I was in markets in general, and then I worked for Goldman Sachs for 6 years, and I got to meet some traders, and they showed me DOM and told me, if you ever leave, learn how to trade off of a DOM. That's the way to do it. And But so I spent a lot of time in New York. I watched them build that Freedom Tower. I thought that was so inspiring to watch them build that building. Always impressed me every time I went by that thing. But yeah, I love New York. I haven't been there in a couple of years. I should go because my wife is a flight attendant, so I can fly anywhere I want. But I just like staying home too much. By language, he does not like engaging in an angry way. That is not a natural fit for him. No, but what is your reading of Kamala Harris? Because it seemed to me like Kamala Harris was kind of holding back at first, but in that last exchange, she looked upset, and she does like engaging in an angry way. Jacinto, hey, thank you for joining in. Sorry, I'm like eating in between, watching here because, it's just all behind. It's been a long day because we had I do trading. We had the FOMC meeting and we traded that, and I've a lot of sitting in front of the stream today. I think Castro has done so well. He didn't really get a whole lot of time during that whole healthcare thing. She rings sincere to me when she speaks and when she uses her body language. I know women like her. I met them in the military and the schools my children went to. Smart, fierce, and loyal. Yeah. Well, that's my take too. Well, I mean, she's a prosecutor, right? She's sharp. Any time that you see her put that sad face on, crocodile tears. Beware, right? She will bite your head off. I think Republican debates will be more relevant as long as Trump is there. The markets just think there is 0% chance these Dems win. Yeah. Let's watch. Let's come over here. Damn. Kamala Harris is being very dishonest in what she's saying there, because if you come across the border without a parent, what are they supposed to do? You can't just let a minor just wander around the country by themselves. Come on. Let's see if intraday, if things have changed in the past 24 hours at all. Nope. No change. Crying is another fine line for women. They expect the tear of empathy, but when a woman breaks down in tears, we'll always consider that a weakness. Yeah. I didn't think that Kamala Harris was being very honest there. Dark side of politics, says Joe Biden 2020. He seems to be doing pretty well from my perspective so far. I don't have a horse in this race. I tell you what, that when I set out with this, because I just love politics. I love the horse race aspect of it. I always have ever since I was, a teenager. And but I'm a Republican, and I looked at this and I was like, you know what? But this could be good because I can look at people from an analytical point of view, and not from a this is who I want to win or who I like their policy the most point of view, And that doesn't always rub Democrats the right way, but I think that it's a useful thing. Um, and I've made a couple of videos on the channel about it. I wish I could make more content about this, but the problem is it's a lot of work, and you don't get, there's not as much reward for it, I've found. But we've gotten a lot of views from these debate things, so man, we are having more please continue. No, you should just wait for them to carry the people out. Do you know who Stephen Miller is? Yeah, he was the president's advisor that kind of advocated that they change all of this. He changed the laws, ports of entry last year. Bush had a 100-mile entry allocation, so walking into POV becomes a crime now. Well, it was always a crime, really. Right? Oh, wait, there's more. Americans are going to find out that privatization of these detention centers has been mishandled. This will be an ugly page in our history. So I read government documents and I have a lot of time. Well, I don't think that anybody is happy about the way that the facilities have been run, are they? But when you have facilities that overrun, stuff is going to happen. Hold on. We need to repeal this law. Anyways, the thing is it was always illegal. It was always illegal. They just weren't enforcing it at all. And what happened was the administration saw this and saw the flood kind of coming and said, well, we need to do something about it. Now, unfortunately, when they did something about it, that kind of wised everybody up to it. And as soon as they did, then everybody started, then the flood came. And, I don't think that they expected the kind of pushback that they got. It kind of looks to me like the problem has actually been solved because Guatemala has signed a safe third country agreement. Mexico is doing things. I don't think that this is going to be a problem anymore because there's going to be a lot less people coming in and applying for asylum, and they'll be able to get them through the system, and people won't be in the detention facilities for more than a week. But in the meantime, it's a great sob story for Democrats. But in terms of here on the debate, I don't know. Obviously, every Democrat is upset about the way that the border is handling, and getting on TV and crying crocodile tears about it doesn't necessarily help you. But being able to show that you have command of the issue and understanding of the issue does. And I think that Joe Biden has done that. I think that Julian has done that as well. Doing it through the civil courts, you might as well not have the law. The civil penalty is not going to deter anybody from crossing. The new plan for immigration tosses out everyone waiting in line and establishes a merit-based system without grandfathering anyone in, no DACA for debts. Well, I think DACA is a separate thing, but their immigration plan based on a merit-based system. Is there something about that, a merit-based system, that you don't like? I mean, they can do that and still have a separate thing for DACA, for instance. That's doable. I don't think that's in their plan, but, it's doable, right? Okay. You notice that that's the sort of a thing that actually really energizes the Democrats. Hmm. He's sounds like he's just saying it should be open borders. My husband was the CTO for a company owned by the Priskers. He has definite ideas about stealing intellectual property and about foreign talent taking jobs for less pay. Um, I mean, here's the issue that I have on the immigration issue is that if you have more people in the country, wages go down. That's just the way that things work. And if the number of people that are coming in outpaces the percentage growth in GDP, wages are going to suffer. That's just basic economics. So the number of people that should be allowed into the country should be determined based off of economic factors and not based off of, our feelings. Certain number of people are allowed, and you pick the best people out of the number that you can take. And a lot of what I'm hearing is like, we're just going to let everybody through. That's not going to work. There's a problem. There's a big gap between jobs being offered and who wants those jobs. Well, I feel like, so for instance, there are a lot of jobs out there that, 16 and 17-year-old kids would be taking, and they aren't taking because immigrants are working them. That's the sort of place where it becomes a problem. That is a political push to persuade each candidate said they want border control. Not Mayor de Blasio. Whoa. Mayor Blasio was such a douche. And Joe Biden just put him in his place, I think. Yeah, Biden's a dick. Well, the audience liked that. Maybe Biden is taking some cuts here. So we should just let them all in, No, my brother had the contract to purchase supplies for the kitchen at Ellis Island. There you go. And he would walk home with the day's receipts and take the train home to Maplewood. That's cool. I mean, so the problem that I see on the Democrat side in this discussion is there's a lot of we need to reform our legal immigration system. And everybody's been saying that for years. And anytime that we actually come down into actually reforming the immigration system, it seems to me that Democrats really don't want to do that. And it also seems to me that Democrats really don't want to, enforce the border. Because anytime that there's discussion about giving money to that, they refuse to give it. I find it really hard to take them seriously when they say, oh, we're going to reform the law, and then we're not going to have all of these people coming over illegally anymore. I just don't buy it. I don't think anybody believes it. Yeah, a few weeks ago, someone said Cory Booker was black, and I was surprised. Interesting world when we don't notice color because they remind us of someone else. Yeah, I didn't. He's not very dark skinned, is he? Well, this has been a much more substantive debate than the last one. You also notice that the candidates have done a much better job of getting in their bits and not getting cut off by the moderators. This is what, the big guys. This is why they're the big guys. Yeah, I don't know. I think when you look at the immigration debate amongst them there, it kind of ends up being a wash. Everybody's trying to take down Joe Biden. I don't think that they did it there necessarily, although he is taking some cuts here and there, but I think he's doing pretty well so far. We should come back over here and look and see if Predicted has made any kind of caught anything on that. So they were very much expecting him to decline. These are the two markets that I've been watching. Okay, so I can see here this blue is Biden, as what is who will see the biggest polling bump from the second debate. And we're seeing Joe Biden, he is in the past hour, he has moved up, and Harris has moved down. So it seems to me like the predicted market seems to agree with my initial impression that Joe Biden came out to fight and that Harris has not necessarily been accosting herself very well. Yang is going up. Yang has done better in this debate. He probably will be in the next debate, but I don't think that's going to be enough for him to be much more than an also ran. Okay, and then who will have the biggest polling decline? Sanders went way down yesterday. Biden going down a little bit. Harris rising just a little. Warren, O'Rourke. Interesting. So only Biden and Harris have really moved so far. But we're only like maybe a third of the way through this, Okay, let's see here. Yes, they're far more comfortable. That's why I never want to give a speech first. I have really been reading about immigration when my lovely formal mother began. I read that as former mother. Formal mother began worrying about invading hordes of immigrants. I worried this is an ugly issue on every side of the aisle. Well, I think that there are a large swath of Americans just feel like that the law is being broken and that we shouldn't just we're like ignoring the law. That's what I really think bothers Republicans about it. Everybody says that it's xenophobia and that sort of thing. I don't think that that's true. You notice that the people on the Republican side, some of the people that are the most supportive of the president's policies are Republican Latinos, because these are people that have been through the immigration system, are legal immigrants, and are quite perturbed that all of these other people are coming across the border and not having to go through that same process. It is very expensive. It is very difficult, right? And, and having all of the illegal immigrants coming in, kind of skipping to the front of the line, just makes it even harder to come in. And it's very hard to get in if you don't already have family here, right? I think that people want to see the system changed and that they want to see the law enforced, but I'm just saying from an economic perspective, there's a limited number of people that you can bring in. And I don't know what that number is, but you can calculate it and you can have a commission that says this is what the economy can handle, just like the way that the Federal Reserve handles interest rates. And it seems to me like that Democrats are saying that anybody that wants to come should be able to, just as long as they say hi at the border or something. And I just don't think that that's going to work. And I don't think that voters in general will go along with that. Now, that said, I don't think that they straight up said that in the debate. That's what most Republicans are thinking. But they're all kind of saying the same thing. So how did anybody differentiate themselves and stuff? This seems like it's a wash. There's a video where you can fly along the border and also take a car ride for the 2,000 miles. You can see the challenges, yes, and they will lose their place in line now under the new merit system. Yeah, they probably would. Yeah, I have a friend that lives in the Philippines, and she would really love to come to the United States. So she didn't have family here. There's literally no way that she can get over. And she actually met a guy online, and she was going to come over on an engagement visa. And this is like her dream, is to marry a white guy and come over to America I know it sounds silly, but that's what she wants, because she wants to live in the United States. And that fell apart at the last second, and now she's SOL, because how is she going to get a visa? There's no opportunity for her. I don't think it's right. And she is going through a dental program, so she has like a good skill. And I feel personally, I think that she should be afforded the opportunity to come over legally. And, and I think that should be a bigger determining factor of whether or not you're able to get a visa than if you have family here already or something like that. I also don't think they want, a fence along the whole wall, right? Along the whole border, right? I've been there, and yes, it's silly to an airman who lived in Korea for a year. They were farm girls who wanted a better life than being a dancer in the club. Yeah. But the first thing they have to do is you have to say, how many people can we actually handle economically? And then you have to go in and say, how do we pick those people? And come up with a fair system to pick those. I don't think that the current system that we have is fair. And then for the people that do get in, they have to spend way too much and put too much effort to get in. It shouldn't be so expensive. So these people have nothing, right? It's not right, but it seems to me like nobody in Washington is actually incentivized to actually fix the problem. I think the Democrats benefit too much from illegal immigration to actually stop it. And I don't believe them when they say that they're going to stop it. I just don't think that they're, what is the word? Credible. Wow. Look at his face. Ooh. If anyone doubted the Dem Party's lurch to the left, the fact that Obama's record is too moderate for the debate stage should answer that. Man, Booker has the burns. He's making it very personal, too. Or he didn't get a response to that. Yeah, Win says big smile on Booker's face. He's having fun. I think he knows that he got a good shot in, and he's happy about it. Look at the optics of an old white guy and a young strong guy towering over someone whose time may have passed. Oh, really? Bringing Castro when there was the debate equivalent of stop. He's already dead. I don't. So I'm not. I don't recall the issue that they're talking about. We need to look here. Death of Eric Gardner. Hmm. Interesting. I was not familiar with this particular issue. That was in 2014, though. I wonder why that particular one's coming up. look at look at his face there. Okay, well, that's kind of a dodge, but thank you, Mr. So the problem that I have with Andrew Yang this time around, he's holding himself a lot better, but he's not expanding his what is the word? So interesting, this whole thing with Mayor de Blasio and Eric Gardner. Yeah, see, I read the story on Wikipedia, but Wynn has another summary here. Eric Gardner was in the process of being arrested, and the police choked him in a strong hold for 5 minutes. He said, "I can't breathe. Ugly situation. I hesitate to judge military or police in the heat of the moment or battle or struggle." It sure sounds to me that they did something inappropriate, or there should have been question. He needs to. The problem with Andrew Yang, the thing that's going to hold him back the most is that people are going to say that he's not qualified to be president, that he can't handle the issues that the president handles, and he needs to be able to do things that shows that he understands all of these issues and that he knows what to do and he'd be able to handle them. And he's speaking to the crowd, and that's really good, but he isn't actually establishing authority on issues per se. Oh, we're going to bring this up again. I think that Biden has been looking forward to this. Ouch. Andrew Yang is a bit like me. I can study how to establish a butterfly garden. I can research the plants, but I can't dig a hole or make a tree thrive. This is important. Okay, let's see how Biden handles this. Ooh. Thank you. Man, so he completely dodged her charge and just went for the head again. I really do not think Biden wants to be in this race. I think he feels like it is his duty. Why? I don't know. Why would hear any other Democrats point out the party's lack of responsibility? They are just slinging mud right now. They're not going to let Biden respond to that. Ooh. Ooh. Oh. Oh, yes. The crowd wanted to hear that. Man. Fun thing to watch is for Duper's Delight. Not just gives fancy speeches. So, I don't think that her response is very good here. Now she's gonna get a second chance to hit her and just stuff it down. Crooked Media, John Levitt, they are discussing that this was speculated. Would the others go after Harris's records? And they did, yeah. She is, and if she doesn't come up with a good response here, she's done. She's done. Random name says Kamala's done. I think she just got slaughtered there. She just got man. So let me turn this down a little bit because nobody cares what Bennett says. Kamala Harris just got taken to the woodshed, and then when she was given the chance to defend herself, she completely deflected. She did not answer a single one of the criticisms that both Gabbard and Joe Biden brought up at all. Instead, she said, oh, well, you guys can talk fancy words. And she got really defensive and kind of like, well, I'm proud of what I did. But she didn't actually answer to the things that she did wrong. And that she just got destroyed. And even worse, the audience enjoyed watching her get taken down. I think she's finished. I really do. It's surprising because the thing is that she was doing well because she had attacked Joe Biden and it shown that she could take on Joe Biden. And, the Democrats, they don't want Joe Biden because he's the moderate in the race, essentially. But this time around, Joe Biden has acquitted himself fairly well. I think probably most Democrats still don't want him, but he acquitted himself fairly well. And instead, Kamala Harris was the one that was taken to the wood chipper. And so the whole reason for her rise in the polls just got demolished. That was interesting. Okay. Let's hear what Andrew Yang has to say. When agrees, not a good moment for her. Speaking from a female perspective, I recognize that discomfort and wonder why. I think maybe they applaud the moment. Harris is a wrestler and will recover on daytime TV. I will vote Democratic this time, and I'm looking for moderation. Don't throw out the babies with the bath. You know, I'm just trying to predict who's going to win, and it seems to me like they just did irreparable damage to her. And here's the other thing. Who the biggest beneficiary of this is? Castro. Julian Castro, right? Because he is now the diversity candidate. He didn't get as much applause for that line as I thought he would get. I need to look into how Castro is perceived. I really have not paid much attention to him. He wasn't a presence in any neighboring Hispanic communities when we lived in Florida. So the thing that I notice about Castro is that he seems to really understand the far left part of the party, and he speaks their language in a way that the other candidates don't. And I think that, the diversity candidate was Kamala Harris, but without her in the picture, if they start to consolidate around Castro, I think that they're going to really resonate, and they're going to be much more enthusiastic about him. So I think that this is a really big boost to him. We might not realize it yet, but I think that Castro could become a top 4 candidate now. Oh, they're going to talk about climate change now. This has been an issue that I've noticed that candidates have a hard time boosting themselves with. This isn't something that I've seen a moment with, or some candidates say something that I'm like, well, that's really going to help their campaign. I dislike the individual stories. They don't sell an idea to me. They sell the idea of a neighborhood effect. How are things in your neighborhood? Because that makes them the same everywhere. So that's interesting. But that, I think, has a lot, says a lot about the way that you think and what kind of cognitive biases you are more and less susceptible to. And I'm kind of the same way. As soon as they start giving the personal antidotes, I'm kind of like, I turn off. But they're important. One of the things that I see happen a lot is people will lead with the personal antidote, and that's bad. Always lead with the eye-catching line, right? You lead with the eye-catching line, say what the policy is, and then you can go into how it affects people. I thought maybe he was going to go into personal antidote there, but the good thing about a personal antidote is that if you can give a name, then the media can go in and follow up with that person, and then you get like a second boost after the fact. But you haven't seen a whole lot of that in these Dem debates for some reason. The Republicans have always been really good at that, but the Democrats aren't doing that for some reason. Wow. So Andrew Yang is asked about climate change, and his answer is, well, we're all fucked anyways, and you guys better move off of the coasts. Man, I don't know about that one, but geez, that was quite a... I apply that learning to speak to a husband. Know your audience. That's something that marketing understands. Conservatives selling their ideas should speak liberal words. Liberals should sell their ideas using conservative speak. Well, I read an article the other day about how they were talking about how do you convince somebody when they disagree with you. Because if you give them a piece of information that contradicts what they believe, they tend to just immediately dismiss it. And so you need to take a different approach. And so the person said, if you're trying to convince a conservative, this is the kind of argument that you should try to use. But the issue that I had with that when I was looking at the argument that he was making in the article was that those are the kinds of arguments that I always see Democrats make, and that conservatives, it immediately, the red flag immediately goes up. Like, he's trying to manipulate me. You can't do it with manipulation. You know what I mean? To truly convince people, you have to prove to them that it matters, that if they're wrong, you have to say like it matters that you're wrong, and I care about you, and I want to help you to get on the right page. That kind of triggers something in people that goes, okay, wait a second, maybe I really am just being dumb here, instead of it just being like, well, this is just an argument, and if it's a game, then people definitely aren't going to change their mind because they don't want to lose the game, right? So when I see Kamala Harris now, and she's very adamant and energetic about everything, but it's kind of grating on me now. It doesn't touch me the way that it did before because of what we saw happen. I'm gonna Clorox the low Oval Office. Charisma on Command. Yes, I'm familiar with that channel. Has a channel that talks about how to use persuasion techniques by understanding that certain words have trigger effects. Ah, yes. They had a video about that just the other day, didn't they? I don't remember what it was. I should go back and watch it again. I've kind of started to take to the idea that in most of the cases it's not. I think that my place is to be the disagreeable person. I don't know if my place is to be the convincing person, but we'll see. Maybe I can go in with that again. I left you with a link to Tasty Trader's setup is good, and he talks about how to keep display free of spaghetti. So is that the guys from the options exchange, options platform? Those guys. You know what? My display has tons of spaghetti on it, but part of it is just that people like stuff that looks cool, and I like stuff that looks cool. And what I really need to look at is very quite simple, And so it's kind of like, well, you might as well stick a bunch of stuff on there to keep yourself entertained. That's kind of why I have some of the stuff that I do on mine. Most other people, they're kind of, they need like 20 different things to try and make their decisions. And maybe it's a little bit of a different thing at that point. You know what I mean? I don't think that Corey is really. He seems like he's done okay. I think that maybe next time around, Cory Booker might be a more serious candidate, My channel is built with playlists of information that I study. I tagged your name so I can share your channel. I'm not creating content, but established a channel for street cred. I got you. So you're saying, so if I come over here and I click on your name, go to channel. Oh, there you go. Mueller report. What you need to know. Oh, and here's the other comment that you were talking about. Oh, so I saw your comment here. I'm reading your comment about when I said, aberrations and when a lot of limit orders are being placed. If you search for that on Google, you're not going to find anything. Blacks for Trump. Hey, you know what? if you're a Republican and you're watching the debates, I say kudos to you for being interested in politics. Because honestly, anybody that's willing to sit through 5 hours of this boring, ugh. I mean, there's been some entertaining parts, and I'm glad that I watched it. But good grief, it takes a crazy person to sit through all this, and we are just crazy. And I say kudos to you. And that, I voted for Donald Trump. Not that I think that he's the greatest thing in the world or anything, but I just really don't like the Democrats right now. But I still like to watch the Democrat Party and see what they're doing and try and predict who's going to win. So thank you for coming into the channel and saying something anyways, even if it's just spam. Really don't like Mayor de Blasio. Well, there you go. You see, so here's an instance where Castro, he's not saying anything that really speaks to me. He's not giving me anything that like differentiates his policy, but that particular exchange was really positive for him because it established authority on an issue. He said, look, I've done something with this. I dealt with this problem and I know it really well. And there's no question in my mind, at least, and I'm probably in most people's minds, that he knows what's going on with that issue right now. That's something that I think that some of the other lesser known candidates could really work on. They could use it as an example of how you do that. Andrew Yang needs moments like that. Because we did it. Let's see here. I want to read the rest of your comment here. So here's the thing, Win. To your comment that you were posting about trading earlier, and here's the way that I present it is you put up a DOM, and let me open things up so that you can see what I'm talking about. Because here's the thing is that you come over here and you get people and they'll put, you get a chart like this. Like I got a ton of stuff on my chart, right? There's all these lines and colors, and I've got multiple lines on there. And what is this? And it's really interesting at first, isn't it? And so one of the pieces of advice that is often given to people is to simplify things down. And they're right that the thing that matters is usually pretty simple, or the thing that makes the best trading strategy is usually very simple. But here, what you're looking at on the DOM is actually really quite simple. It's just, here's the price, and I watch it tick up or down. How much is on the inside bid and offer? How much traded there? That's it. And what you do is you basically watch that for a really, really long time. And I mean years. And you will see it. And you will understand the market so well at that point. And that's where I think that the edge and the scalping sense comes from. But it's not something that is like, it's not out there. It's not something that you can like read. It's not something you can watch a YouTube video and do. It's the only way that you can gain the skill is just from watching it every day and seeing how it behaves. It's hard to explain other than that, because what I look for is really simple. When everybody gets excited, that's when I try to make my trade, because I can tell when the momentum is flipping because everybody's involved. And that's all there is to it. But I couldn't, because it's different every situation. Every situation is different. There's not like some price pattern. There's not like some head and shoulders pattern that you look into and all that sort of thing. It's all just situational, But you just kind of have to step in and get your feet wet. But my suggestion is, it depends on which instrument that you want to trade, but find a platform with a really good DOM. So I use Jigsaw. If you want something cheaper, a lot of people use Zero charts. But, there's some good books. Like I have that thing about what are the best books to read. Those are good books to read, but the thing that's going to give you edge is trading. Yeah. Hope that makes sense. They're still talking about Flint. No, okay, she must be talking. I got you. Debate. Bill O'Reilly says debate has run out of gas. I agree. 2 hours of this is too much, and it's 2.5 hours is too much. I don't think that. I'm just looking at some of the tweets from the Twitterati, and they seem like they're trying to make a headline instead of see it happen. Harris definitely took a hit. Yang is coming up a little bit. Well, she's right. She's right. If it wasn't for the trade war, they probably wouldn't have to be reducing rates right now. Crooked Media says solid point. See, the people still aren't seem to be sure about who's going to have the biggest polling decline. Biden is still in the lead. Harris has risen a little bit, but there doesn't seem to be clear. It's interesting. See, so there's Biden, Harris, Sanders is going down, Warren is going down, Booker. So it seems like Harris is winning that one. In the military, there is a talented group of codebreakers. Pattern recognition. I may go into their community and see if they day trade just for fun. Well, that would be really interesting if any of them did. I'm going to guess probably not, but I don't know. Like, the thing is with trading is, I think, how do I explain this? Pattern recognition is an important part. Okay. When you get started out, when do I enter and when do I exit? Those seem to be like the two most important things, right? But other things that are important, and especially the things that I think, just based off of talking to you and kind of the way that you think, the number one thing is risk management. Okay. How you manage risk is really important. Um, like for me, if I get too many losing trades in a row, then I stop because I know that something's wrong, right? If I lose so much in a day, then I stop because I know it's a bad day. And I have a tendency to tilt, And so the whole thing is figuring out when I'm tilting and stopping myself as early as possible within that process, right? And so number one, risk management. And number two is just managing yourself because especially when it's moving, man, and the risk is on and you've got real money on there, it's scary. And you simply do not think logically at that point. You miss things. You want to take it off. You want to take your winners quick. You let your losers run. You do like the exact opposite of way you should do. It totally happens. And those are the two things that makes or breaks most people, because I tell you what, I've seen the edge. What is the thing that gives you the edge? It can come from anything. I've heard the most bizarre edges, and when they explain them to me, I'm like, well, how would that ever work? But I back tested them, and they do, some of them, and usually I don't take them just because they don't fit me. But let's see here. I do not think most women like the anger that we see and the constant slamming that is now acceptable. Trump seems very angry lately, and I'm not sure if that is a TV persona because people sometimes say, how did that go over? Sit down at the desk half an hour before trading opens. Tip one. Depends. If you're trading equities, then you have to do that. If you one of the things that you're going to find when I do trading futures, even though futures is probably the best way to day trade, there's for some reason a lot of people prefer to do stocks, and trading stocks is a very different kind of game because for me it's all about knowing what affects the treasuries and what is the pattern and the tendencies of the treasury. With stocks, there's all these other things you have to consider, and you need to know what is going on in the market, and you have to do a lot of research. And so a good 30 minutes before you start trading is necessary. I knew an old fellow who loved the racetrack. His pattern recognition was to watch the horses as they entered the paddocks. He went a little bit or enough to hang out all day. I kind of like, I've been trying to get into horse racing actually. So I read a book about horse racing. Books about horse racing are good books for trading. Something that I've noticed, I feel like that Tulsi has done a really good job in this debate, and I haven't really seen anything on Twitter about it. But I guess that's perhaps because most Democrats have just completely written her off. What I have read is that the Chinese are in the process of reorganizing the reporting of the monetary system, and I failed to find the words, but this is making the market reports a bit less precise. What's happening right now? The market seems to be very data sensitive because they're unsure about if the Federal Reserve is going to continue to cut rates or not. And so you get low liquidity, and it's the summer, the liquidity is a little bit lower. And so the market just goes all over the place. And I mean, that's really what I think you were seeing today. I'd renegotiate the TPP. Yeah, good luck with that, Joe. He just said, we wouldn't sit at the table without environmentalists and labor at the table. You'd never get a deal passed. You'd never get a deal passed. One of my degrees is in business, but I clapped the economics class. You don't really. I. Hmm. I tell you what, trading is something that you can just pick up. You can be anybody. It doesn't matter what your education background is or what your tendencies are. There's one thing that's always going to matter, right? 90% of people fail at this. You can't sugarcoat it, right? Use this finger. 90% of people fail. Okay. Most people, they don't take it seriously. They go in, they put 500, they read things for a week, and then they go, all right, I'm ready to go into this, and they start trading, and they don't really have a known edge, and they start trading, and it doesn't work. And then they lose, the small amount of money that they put in there, and they say, oh, well, I'm no good at this, and they're not getting any kind of rush or anything from it, and so they give up. And that's probably like 60% of people. But even then, it's hard. It's hard. And the thing that you have to go into this with the realization is that you will not be good at this at first, and that you're going to have to make very serious, dedicated, conscious effort to improve at it. You're going to have to do things to change the way that you think. You're going to have to do things to change the way that you handle emotions. You're going to just have to do the groundwork to actually find your edge. It's just the whole process of making yourself a better person, but like on steroids, because it's like think of trading as like becoming a better person, but like the competitive sport or something. You know what I mean? That's what makes it hard, and most people, give up early. But it's the people that stick with it. If you find a true edge, and then you dedicate 3 to 5 years just studying that one edge and getting really good at that one edge, that's then when you can start to become successful. And that the statistics, most of the traders that we found that have had success, for instance, they've been in the market for 3 to 5 years. you know so it takes a long time, and it's a lot of work, but it doesn't matter like what your education. That's the cool thing is that you have to trade. You have to trade, and you have to trade with intention. How would you balance disruptions created by technology with this beneficial impact on our economy? That sounds like a question for Andrew Yang. My back is still kind of iffy. I like the idea of using trading as a brain exercise game. I don't need money, but who would love more disposable? Who who wouldn't love more disposable income? I knew people who made small fortunes on penny stocks. Oh, totally. Well, or options. Options is another one. When you look at the options traders, they always have that one good options trade that works out. He might say something here. Okay. Man, he's got. I mean, he has some of the right ideas, but then he turns it. He's like, there are people out there that are in an exploited position, and they might have a business idea, and they could do wonderful things for themselves, and we just need to go in and help them. But then instead of giving them the ability to help themselves, it's like, but we have to give them money to do it. We have to hand it to them. It just doesn't. Man. There's no glass ceiling in my husband's world of computers. If you made money for the company, you were compensated. You know that because I work in computers, right? I program, and it really depends on the company. The problem is that most computer engineers don't really they're not into the business world, and they don't know what matters in terms of managing projects and managing people. And you get a lot of people in there that don't know how to make the right decisions, and there might be somebody there that would be really good at it, and the people in charge just have no way of recognizing it. And you know there are a lot of engineers out there that just they work hard and that they don't get paid enough. But there's also a lot of engineers out there working on just depreciating assets, unfortunately. Oh, she's attacking Joe Biden over daycare. In the military, one must have an IQ of at least 8320. Something percent of people do not have this very basic intelligence. That's why universal income might not be such a bad idea. MTBI is a basic business model. The idea is to set up a company using each talent or skill. Well, I like that idea. I feel like you need to have different types of people. Interesting. She hit Biden pretty hard. I don't know if he's holding himself very well or not. I don't think that this particular exchange is as memorable as the earlier exchanges. See, I think that they're trying to take him down. Oh, wait, what? What? She just got. Oh my. What? Oh my gosh. Seems. What were his exact words there? Thank you. That's it, Gillibrand. She's like deer in the headlights right now. I think that her attack there kind of fell flat. Now that Kamala Harris is going to try and attack Biden about it, huh? Hyde Amendment coming back says crooked media and someone else said she went there. I'm afraid that the Democrats are falling into the same problem that we had with Mitt Romney. So he just destroyed her. He's like, well, here's the answer, and she's like, oh okay. Um, so do you guys remember? Were you guys watching around when Mitt Romney was the nominee, and it was like everybody against Mitt Romney. This is like there's Mitt Romney, and then like 8 other guys running, and they'd go into the debate and they'd say, Governor Romney, you said X thing once upon a time. And now you've changed your tune. What do you have to say about X? Whatever the thing was. And every candidate would attack Mitt Romney for something. And what happened? Mitt Romney won. This last time around, Donald Trump, he took the lead in the beginning, and they would attack Mitt Romney. Everybody go headstrong, head first into it, trying to attack Donald Trump. And what happened? Donald Trump won. It's not enough just to attack, because when you're the one that's deflecting everybody's attacks, if you cost yourself well, if you have good defense like Joe Biden is doing right now, it doesn't hurt you. And I think that and I don't think that Joe Biden was spectacular or anything like that, but I think that he did well enough. I think that he can maintain his top spot in the polls, as much as many people on Twitter are going to say that that's not the case. Maybe I should have had the captions on this whole time. I don't know. We need to have a broader conversation means I don't have an answer. Yeah, I think I agree. It might have been Biden's to lose, and he has not lost yet. Yeah. And with basically 10 minutes, like they're going to have one more exchange and then closing statements, That might have been the last chance. Kristen Gillibrand, she tries hard, but she just hasn't been able to get any hits. Okay, so here's a key moment for Andrew, I think. If he could show some authority on foreign policy. Body language people will look to who is the natural born leader on the stage. Who will people lean into, or who will they look to after they answer a question? Yeah. The yesterday's debate, when I looked at the charisma and the body language and everything, it was just atrocious. They were all so bad. This debate, I think that they're doing better. I don't think that Andrew Yang quite looks great, but Andrew Yang's problem is still that he's not really establishing authority on presidential issues. Like there, he gave an answer that's okay. Like that's an acceptable answer on foreign policy. But how can you say that in a way that exudes authority? That, hey, if I want to talk about foreign policy, this is the person that I should listen to. You know, this is something that I'm kind of starting to get into myself because you on YouTube, it's like, what are the things you can say and that are convincing that say to people, I'm an authority on this issue and that I should listen to them. You know, and I just I don't completely know the answer to those sorts of things, and maybe that's something that I don't necessarily do very well. But it just seems to me that Andrew Yang doesn't have it. I'm not convinced that he would actually know how to run a country. Ouch. Okay. Seems to me like she had a lot more to say, and I didn't know where she was going on it. But I thought that first thing was good. She established authority on it. Thank. Mayor De Blasio. Our brain picks up micro and macro facial expressions before we hear their words. That is why some people bring true and sometimes we smell snake oil, salesman. Thanks for their. Oh yeah, I did just do that. Yeah, I realized that I hadn't clicked on it. I want to write a response because I try and respond to every comment, but you have such a long comment in there. I'm not quite sure what I want to say yet, but I think I will still leave a comment maybe later. Mm. It's really interesting to me that this is the first time during the two debates that we've really talked about Mueller. Someone just said replace Don Lemon with de Blasio as a more moderate moderator. No need to reply. Did you read the Mueller report? So I haven't directly read the whole report, but I'm pretty well familiar with what's in there. I mean, I've read so much about it. Um, So I'm just kind of here and catching to see if he says anything that really moves the needle here. I think that I can get into it later, but I think there's some things about the Mueller report that the way that people are seeing it that Democrats don't seem to understand, and that's why they seem to be so flabbergasted that like nothing's happening. They're gonna ask everybody about this, huh? I wonder why they didn't ask the first debate people this. They're gonna ask everybody, huh? Nobody's caught a really big moment yet on this issue yet for some reason. William Barr believes in theory of executive unitary power. He protects the presidency, not of the person. Steve Bannon says that President Trump is just passing through. That is dangerous thinking. I don't completely follow what you're saying. The moderator should pause and ask Gillibrand if she wants to drop out right here. Well, I don't understand what you're saying about William Barr. Let's start there. Can you clarify that? Well, that's exactly what he's going to say. He kind of sounded like Barack Obama there, but that he made a really good argument for why they should go for it. There's an error in his what he's saying there though, because that's not how impeachment works. Okay, now that they're done. So here's the problem with what Castro just said. The House votes to start impeachment proceedings. They collect evidence and everything, and then the Senate has to hold a trial essentially. And then so Mitch wouldn't be able to block it. The Democrats would just vote it down, essentially. And so what he said there is not really accurate. And the problem is that Donald Trump, when you go through that scenario, Donald Trump says, look, they did everything that they could. They tried to impeach me. But the fact is that I just didn't do anything wrong. And that's why they weren't able to get the votes to impeach me. That's what he would say in that kind of situation. Article 1 is being rethought by the Heritage Foundation. Everything new is old again, Hamilton versus Madison. The idea is that the president should have authority to execute executive authority without congressional approval. 911 was the beginning of thinking of how to protect us in immediate. Okay, I think I understand what you're getting at. So here's the problem with the Mueller report that I think that Democrats are missing. And the problem is that the reason this whole thing started, right, was the accusation that the Donald Trump campaign was colluding with Russians to influence the election. That essentially Donald Trump knew that the Russians were going to do what they were going to do, and he adjusted his campaign accordingly, and that there was, possibly some sort of quid quo pro where they said, if you help us out on this particular thing, then we'll give you this policy that you want, or something like that, right? That was the way that this whole thing started. And they found zero evidence of that. They found that they talked to a Russian lawyer, and that they had a meeting that, was probably, they got baited into, and it was kind of dumb, but no evidence of anything bad actually happening from it. There was no collusion. Like that's just, I feel dumb saying that because that's what Donald Trump says. But as far as I've seen, there's no evidence that there was collusion. So then they go in and they say, okay, well, if he didn't do collusion, but he certainly tried to obstruct the investigation. Okay. So here, Julian Castro said, Donald Trump deserves to be impeached. That may well be the case. I can't speak to read somebody's heart and mind, but that may well be the case. But from a legal standpoint, I don't think that you can nail him from it. I mean, here's the thing. The impeachment process is a political process. We understand that, right? He's not going to get impeached because Republicans control the House. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, that that's not how impeachment is handled. Let's say that if you impeach a president, that then a grand jury of all judges is called, and they're the ones that determine what it is. Okay, so you go and you have a trial, and the jury are judges and people that are impartial and don't have a partisan lean. So what they decide would be based on what is the law. Okay. The problem that you're going to have prosecuting a case like that is that there was no underlying crime. All of the actions that he did were within the president's authority. And even if they, even if they obstructed the investigation, which the person that ran the investigation said, we were not obstructed. That's 3. And then 4 is, even if it did obstruct the investigation, you would have to prove that he knew it would obstruct the investigation, and that was his intent, was to obstruct the investigation. So you would have to prove his state of mind, which you cannot do. And so I think that if it was run in an actual court, that they wouldn't be able to do it. And that is why the Democrats are being so tepid about this, is they know that they have to get the public support behind them, and they know that kind of the legal argument is kind of against them. And so they've been doing everything that they can to try and get the ball rolling, and they thought that Mueller would do that. Then Mueller came, and that was a big disaster. I feel that at this point, from a political point of view, it's probably dead. Even though it does, when the things that I read about it, it seems like, I can't say that what he did was illegal or anything, but it sure seems like shady stuff that he did, Sure seems like it reads to me like somebody that, doesn't really understand government, doesn't really understand, congressional oversight, and made some really bad decisions as a result of that, Anyway, so that's kind of my take on it. No, Michael Bennett talking. Nobody cares about Michael Bennett. Psh. I thought that maybe he would be an okay moderate to come in, but it doesn't seem to have it. Tulsi will endorse Trump and end up as Secretary of Defense in his second term. Anyways, so on another point, when I am concerned about that there's not enough congressional oversight of executive actions. But I really don't know. That's something that's so hard to, know the details to know the way that it should be done, Mueller said, I now pronounce you not innocent. The attempts at coordination were unsuccessful due to various mistakes or misdirections, the Russians and the IRA. Yeah. I mean, that is kind of what it came down to. I mean, the thing is if the Russians came down in and did give him a quid quo pro, then what would they have done at that point? Because if they had given him a quid quo pro and he took it, then he would be absolutely out of bounds and he would be impeached, no question. Guru Project Luthka are the clickbait farms. Yeah. The thing that irks me so much about the whole Russian collusion thing is that the way that the media has handled this issue has done more to help Moscow's cause than anything Donald Trump ever did. It seems to me like Democrats are undermining our election process because they seem to think that it helps them electorally, and I just don't think it works like that, General Flynn tried to lift sanctions against advice, and I hesitate to speak against the military man. Yeah, I don't remember. I vaguely recall some actions that General Flynn tried to do in the very short time that he was in his position that sounded questionable. I agree with that. And the Russians are not the only ones messing with their heads. Oh yeah, no question. China has a huge farm that people don't talk about. I mean, everybody does. And the Democrat Party are the masters at this. Nobody has more control over social media today than the Democrat Party. The moral fabric of this country. There was a time when Democrats were really trying to use the word moral. And they kind of gave up on that after a while. And it's interesting that Kristen Gillibrand is still using that particular talking point. Ari Fletcher, based on watching almost 6 hours of Democrat debates the last 2 nights, I have concluded 20 candidates is not enough. None of these candidates is any good. Oh, that slam. Ari's a smart guy. I think what you said was true. Trump business model was naive and transactional. Totally. Well, it was real estate, There's a lot of nuance that he's never had to deal with. Donald Trump is not a man of nuance, is he? At least it seems from my perspective that he's not a man of nuance. It seems to me like he's a little bit ADHD and he has his set strategy and he just barrels into it head first. And there's no time in his strategy to sit and think about it and what the nuances of a particular decision are. That's what all of his underlings are for. Evangelicals of my mother's generation who live in Florida are all over the Facebook memes and sharing them. Then they wonder why they get hacked and receive too much mail. Hmm. She seems to have a message that I think is going to resonate amongst a lot of, like the kind of people that used to support Ron Paul, for instance. And this is a group that runs across party lines, but I'm not entirely convinced that she knows how to navigate the international diplomacy to do what she says she's going to do. Klaxon alert. Psychology, when someone reaches his age, they are supposed to sit back and tell tales of their best hunting years of Senate or Senate, and trickster from reverts to thinking the old ways are the best. That might be. You think that older people are just more inclined to be conservative, as I kind of would think what you're getting at? I missed. Did Andrew Yang already give his closing statement? He's saying farewell to the candidates who won't make the third debate. Yeah. Good riddance. Well, they finally did some Spanish. That's funny. Okay, there's Yang. Yeah. Well, it wasn't a good decision. Not necessarily conservative, but look at the caveman or the medicine woman. They rely their wisdom, whatever wisdom works best for their village. Sure. Um, I tell you what, Andrew Yang is a really interesting figure, and it seems like he's going to continue through to the next debate, and I find that a little bit disturbing because I think that basic universal income is a very poor idea. It doesn't understand how actual wealth is created, and you're just spreading money around. You're not actually going to create anything with it, and you're basically giving people an incentive to not do things. I just think that there's a lot of moral hazard to it, and anywhere that they've tried these sort of things, it doesn't have the kinds of effects that they're talking about, especially if you're going to put a VAT tax on everything. Um, and he took the line of like, well, this whole process is dumb. That's not the first time in politics that I've seen somebody take that take. But my observation has been that that person never is the one that wins. It's kind of like you can't sit and complain about the way that the game is played. You can just get in and get good at the game. You know? And I think he's playing a little bit too much of that. It's a little bit too much of like when Andrew Yang loses, he can just blame the process instead of himself. His campaign is not based on living intentionally. And when I say living intentionally, I mean sitting down and intentionally saying to yourself, I am going to take responsibility for my life, and I'm not going to be a victim of circumstance. I'm going to create the circumstances that I want in my life to be successful, you know? What does your wife think about politics, and will she vote? Well, my wife is from Texas, and she is from the middle of nowhere in Texas. And she is more conservative than me. And so I think, she doesn't really care too much about politics or history, although she's kind of getting into it because of me. But I'm sure that she'll probably vote Republican. I mean, we live in Utah, so the way that we vote for the president doesn't really matter anyways, right? Utah's going to vote for the Republican no matter what. Over the weekend, I'll send out some messages and see if I can round up people to participate. Well, if you meet people that are interested in trading, then bring them around. But, kind of the thing with our stream is that we have about a dozen people that listen in every day. We got the same group, like you saw the people that spoke this morning, pretty much the same group of guys every day. And that's like super great. And I would like the channel to grow. Always I want the channel to grow. But it's not like, it's kind of just like the sort of thing that's like it just happens as it happens, is the way that I look at it. And I don't necessarily expect tons of people to tune in while we're live trading just because, what we're doing is kind of boring. And it takes us the certain kind of person, interested, but I'm not sure of his morning hour routines. His wife is a school teacher. Hope your screen isn't frozen or Corey looks odd. Maybe I might have dropped a frame there. For some reason, my computer, even though I'm not doing much CPU usage or anything, I'll get some frames missed. Must be something with my video card, but I want to hear what Joe Biden says. I realized when I thought you fell asleep with a smile. Did he just screw up the wasn't it Biden2020.com? Did he just screw up the URL of his website? But screwing it up might actually help him, like, then now more people are gonna look it up. Is that a website? If that's not a website, Joe Biden 30330.com can't be reached, but it is a server. Dang, it's already taken. Man, weird. So, in the spirit of predictions and just for fun, I bet my husband at the beginning of the term that the president would not finish the term. Yeah, say it ain't so, Joe is the meme. Man. Well, yeah, I've been watching that particular thing, and it just seems to me like, man, when I listen to Democrats talk about it and everything, like they seem so convinced that it's going to happen. But then when I actually look at the story, and I always say, because I'm the kind of person that's like, you have to prove it. Like it has to be proven. You can't just say that it's more likely than not, or it feels right to me. Like you have to show something that directly proves that the thing happened. And I keep seeing the sort of thing that I always see in politics. There's always some conspiracy going on. I remember during the Bush years, they said that they were going to impeach Bush. And then all during Obama's term, it was the same thing, right? We were going to impeach Obama for Benghazi and whatever else before that, and it never happens. It just never happens. And I would have taken that bet because it just seems like I can think that there's a larger thing here, which is that everybody in power kind of realizes that impeaching the president and replacing him is like an incredibly disruptive thing to the country that may actually be more disruptive and harmful than just leaving him in there and letting him finish out his term. You know what I mean? But then you get back into this thing that like Donald Trump is actually still very, very popular amongst his fans and the Democrats. Democrat field, honestly, doesn't look super great. I'm not going to say that it's terrible, but it doesn't look super great. And, there's a reason why the markets seem to think that Donald Trump is more likely to win, I am thinking necessarily impeachment. I'm talking about observing him for 30 odd years. It's more a matter of folding under immense pressure and the results of that issue. Maybe. We'll see. So let's look up the markets here again. Make sure that I got everything like refreshed. 24-hour. Okay. So we saw Biden being who will see the biggest polling decline after the debate. There was a clear decrease at the beginning of the debate, but then that kind of evened out. Harris clearly seems to be winning. I think you could buy Harris here at 24 cents. I'm kind of thinking, I think Booty Jig is probably still too far behind in my thing, and I don't know if I want to put more risk on. Oops, go back. Who will be the Democrat nominee? Predict now. Yeah, Pete's not doing so hot. He's at 10% right now. And has he changed during the past a little bit? He actually went down a little bit. I am surprised. I think, Harris coming down here. Ooh, Harris really came down. So then does Yang increase? No, there hasn't been an increase in Yang. Biden has actually increased over the past hour. That's kind of interesting. Different things. Now, what about who will see the biggest polling decline? I think this is the one that's really going to be elucidating. And Sanders definitely went down. Biden is still up there. Harris hasn't really increased. They don't really think that Harris is going to see the biggest polling decline. So there's maybe some opportunity there, as I would maybe put in Harris. I think that Harris just got obliterated. I almost forgot about that whole thing. But man, Tulsi just took her out. Okay, well, you know what? It is almost 9 o'clock. I am so ready to go to sleep. And then tomorrow, more trading. So I will see you guys in about 10 hours. And in the meantime, hey, stay profitable, friends.